This episode of Fit Pet Boston Talks features Robyn Toscano, owner of Tailwaggerz Pet Care Incorporated in Newton, Massachusetts. Robyn is a busy person to meet with, but I met her after hours at her facility to talk about the evolution of her business and her 2 Cane Corsos, Olive and Bronson. We toasted Tailwaggerz' 10th anniversary with a spot of Dewar's on the Rocks, the drink of choice of Robyn's late father, who served as an inspiration for her. Robyn and I do very different things. I operate a small lifestyle business of walking dogs and selectively training dogs, while she owns and operates a large facility. But I think you will quickly see that we have a lot in common, so I hope you enjoy our conversation. Roland, can you just say a few words?
Hi, my name's Robyn. I'm the owner of Tailwaggerz in Newton. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you with me.
Sweet.
I know. We're just going to do a little bit of an opener here just to get used to having all of this super geeky equipment, this Barney-colored equipment in front of us. Are you ready?
I am.
It took me a while to dream up this question, Robyn. Actually, it didn't. It took me 5 minutes in the shower. Okay, if you have to think about it, no worries. Have you ever received a photo of a dog's nipple from a concerned friend or relative, and said friend or relative thought it was something other than a nipple?
A Facebook friend, actually, yes.
Let's hear it.
It turned out that it was a nipple. They thought that it wasn't. They thought that it was a tick or something.
Yep.
They were like, "Is this a tick?" It was just kind of a little bit of an inverted nipple.
Yep.
Which when they get a little inverted, they can get a little dirty. So I was like, just clean it and stop playing with your dog's nipple.
Yeah, or they're like, I think it's a tumor or a growth, and there's one that's like 5 inches to the right of that one too.
Yeah, and then there's like another one that's like maybe like 4 inches below it. And they're just like, but like, what are these bumps? And the best is when they find the dog's belly button, though. Ooh. That's a good one. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. I actually had a friend of mine. She was a veterinarian, and she had a customer or a patient who came in, and she with a ferret. And every night she kissed him on his belly button. Oh, it wasn't his belly button. Ooh. So yeah, I've had some weird things that people have brought to me.
But that's how I figured out that where a male dog's nipples are. Because it's like right next to the goods.
Yeah.
And that's really confused a lot of people. It really has. It's been, where's this really weird bump? I don't really want to touch it because it's really close to the what. It's like his shaft. Yeah, that's his nipple.
And then they're like, wait, but like male dogs have nipples? And you're like, does your husband have nipples? And then you just hear the crickets, and you're like, right, all right, you marinate on that, and we'll not talk about this conversation.
Yeah, I have an easy out because I'm a trainer now, so I can just say, well, according to the CPDT, I have to refer you to your veterinarian for any, physiological / medical issues that you may be having.
That's best. I love it.
Was that a good one?
Yeah, it was a good one. I like it.
We've gotten a lot of calls, at least 2 in the past 2 weeks, and people are like, "What the f is this? I feel it's bumps all over my dog's undercarriage," and we're like, "No, they're just nipples."
They're just nipples.
Anyway, all right, Robyn, you are someone who has been very influential for me, and when I started out my business, I talked to you probably more than you wanted me to. But it was really important to me to kind of be able to connect with somebody that knew what they were doing. And obviously we do completely different things.
Yep.
But when I started this podcast project, I was like, I have to nail down Robyn. And I knew it was going to be damn near impossible because you're the busiest person on planet Earth, I think.
Yeah, I'm like Bugs Bunny on the moon, pretty much. Yep, I'm just bouncing around here to there, putting out fires, picking up dogs, doing my thing.
Yep, and it's like every time I talk to you, you're like, I have ADD. I might not return your text. So you have to hound me. This is how I operate. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'll just keep texting this girl until she lets me in. So anyway, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here. And I'm honestly really honored that I was an inspiration to you. That makes me feel great. Like I said, I followed what I wanted to do, and I'm really glad to see that you are too.
Yeah, and I can't wait to hear more about it because I think a lot of people that are looking to get into any type of business, it's good to hear inspirational stories. It's good to hear from people that are doing what they want to be doing because what you do here is just, it's an anomaly. It's tough to... It's just, I know I don't have to tell you that this business is hard.
Yeah.
Even just finding a place to reside.
That's probably one of the biggest difficulties in this industry in the area that we're in is the zoning bylaws. Is that a lot of people, they don't want doggy daycares run out of out of a residential facility or a retail facility. So trying to find an industrial facility right outside of Boston in the suburban area, it's exactly like you said, damn near impossible.
Now, can you kind of back up a little bit and talk about your process and what your business is like, how you got started? Because I know you were walking dogs with your mom for a while, right?
Yeah. So my mom was back when I was 7. My mom started basically like a dog walking company, and then she kind of graduated into like adventure walks with a bunch of dogs, and then she started just bringing them home. So back when I was learning human body language, I was also learning dog body language. So I've been integrated in this literally since I was a kid. And then as my mother was kind of transitioning into like, I'm ready to retire, my brother, actually, he's my business partner. He jumped ship from his office job first, just because, sitting behind a desk wasn't for him. And he started kind of flaunting it to me. And I realized that sitting behind a desk wasn't for me either. So we started by, picking up a few dogs and bringing them to my mom's backyard and a customer's backyard. And we did, the backyard doggy daycare thing. It was in such high demand though. And, my brother and I being so young and so tenacious, and we were taking on everybody who asked. And before you knew it, we were getting a little big for our britches and kind of graduating out of the backyard. Also, my mother's poor neighbor, he had just retired, and he was like trying to enjoy his backyard and like have like a family barbecue. And we're back there with like 15 dogs, making a mess
like,
and
what's
tearing
up
up
with all the back and
it was, I felt bad for the poor guy.
And that was here in Nonantum.
That was right around the corner in Newtonville, but literally like the next village over. So we already had an established clientele, and we just needed to find an appropriate property. So we turned to Craigslist. 10 years ago, that was where you found everything. So we found what we thought was going to be the perfect property and kind of hooked up with that real estate agent. And she did a lot of the legwork for us, where she was like, wait, no, the zoning says you can't do it there. And she brought us to where we are now. And it's been a long road. It was an interesting building when we first walked in.
Yeah, now you and your brother Joe, you did most of the renovations here too. Like I feel like, when I first met you, you were doing construction on this building. You were just in the back. And right now, I know everybody listening can't see, but I'm in this most beautiful grooming / retail facility. It's sunny, it's clean, it's got gorgeous wood floors, amazing products, and that's totally separate from the everyday doggy daycare boarding facility. So this place is awesome, and you guys did it all yourself pretty much.
Yeah, so it's actually funny that you bring up the gorgeous wood floors. We started this when I was 22, and I had $43 to my name. So, we didn't have, I didn't have a credit score. No one was going to give me a loan for this. So, we just had to do it on our budget of everything that came in. That was what we spent the money on. These wood floors, this is birch plywood from Home Depot.
Hey, it looks amazing.
We cut it into little slices and made it look like hardwood. And instead of like $4,000, it was $700. A little bit of elbow grease and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes a long way. Yeah. So we just slowly renovated piece by piece until we got to where we want to be. As you know, dogs destroy everything very quickly. So there's always, betterments to be made and little improvements to be had. So it's, I never consider it finished. I always want to keep improving, but yeah, I learned a lot. I learned how to frame walls. I learned how to tile. I learned how to do it all, which I feel like I've learned so much more than I ever could have learned in a college setting. Yep. In this business, it's just a little bit of everything has been thrown at me.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing message too for people that might not be cut out for, secondary education, or they don't want to spend the money on going to school for something that they're not sure that they really want to do. But I think the opposite side of that coin is you got to work.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You got to be willing to get your hands dirty. I mean, so when I was a kid, my father always said, whatever your brother can do, you can do. And the way that I took that is, look, he's got 10 fingers. I've got 10 fingers. You know, I'm not going to look at, you know, me being younger or me being a woman being something that's going to hold me back. So, you know, I'm not afraid of power tools. I'm not afraid of breaking a nail, even though I'd love to have them nicely done. Like I say, you know, you got to be able to be willing to make sacrifices. You also have to be willing to accept that you're not going to succeed at everything you do. Sometimes you fail. And, you know, we don't learn from our successes. We learn from our failures.
Yeah, and I almost want to kind of interrupt you because I feel like, especially when people go on a new journey, it's so public now with social media and, you know, that affirmation that people want to have as soon as they go on a venture. And I don't know if social media was even as big as it is now when you guys started out, but it's okay. Even if you put it out there on social media and then your business goes in a totally different direction than what you set it out to do, you know, it's like, it's okay to say it didn't all work out, but this piece did, and that's the direction.
Yeah,
I'm
and
going
you know
in.
what? Ultimately, I learned from this. You know, I mean, it's you never know what life is going to throw at you. So long as you can just keep rolling with the punches and, you know, build from your past experiences, just keep going from there. You know, just don't fall on your sword. That's the biggest thing is, you know, sometimes, it hasn't been easy. You know, I am where I am now, and I look back and, you know, and it all seems like a bit of a dream, but there were times when, you know, I sobbed in my bathroom and I literally bled all over the place. It was, when I say literally and figuratively, blood, sweat, and tears, it's true, you know, I mean, but it was so worth it. You know, every cut that I got, every tear that I shed, it was all 100% worth it. And I would not give it for the world. I also have no illusions that it's going to stop. I know that there's going to be hard times to come. It's just, again, just take it as it comes. It's just little hurdles, little hiccups, little speed bumps on the road.
Yep. Got to stay positive.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. How many, do you mind me asking the square footage of your daycare boarding facility?
So the indoor facility is 5,000 square feet, and the outdoor facility, the outdoor yard area is about 3,000 square feet. So ultimately, altogether, that's 8,000 square feet.
Awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah.
As far as just being able to find a goddamn space.
Again, honestly,
I know people with a lot of money that aren't able to find a space in the greater Boston area because, like you said, I mean, people don't want facilities in their backyard, even in industrial areas, zoning laws. I know how crazy it can be as far as trying to open up a bigger place. And I think that the fact that you hit the money and then that somebody like you who's so driven to keep going hit it, it's like even more spectacular, you know, because I think a lot of people would be out on their butt at this point.
Yeah, you know, it really was a diamond in the rough property because it's a standalone building. It's got an outdoor space that we were able to convert into a yard. Honestly, when we got the building, we didn't even know because there was so much earth that had fallen over the retaining wall. We didn't even know that there was a drain in there. And now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, what would we have done if we couldn't pressure wash the yard into a drain? You know, or I mean, there's doggy daycares out there that don't have a yard.
Yeah,
and
the majority of any
God.
Petco, PetSmart place like doesn't have any outdoor space whatsoever.
I mean, I'm sure they don't
do
an
anomaly.
I hope they don't do the volume that we do. I mean, we have upwards of 100 dogs every day now. You know, I think we set our facility cap at about 130. And even there, like we need to have our most qualified, our most senior staff on hand when we're that busy. Usually holidays, of course. But exactly, having a facility that large that doesn't have an outdoor space, I mean, I couldn't even imagine the amount of cleaning that they do. I mean, we're cleaning constantly, and we have a yard. So I just, again, good God, can't even imagine.
And you guys went with bark mulch in the yard?
So we did at first, and then we realized that bark mulch started to deteriorate and turn into mud. Also, the dogs like to eat bark mulch. So we replaced that with a little potty area of pea stone in the corner. And actually, the guys just came and finished it up today. We just had the yard resurfaced. It's a bituminous surface. It's like asphalt, but we just had it resurfaced with like a colored seal coat, like you would see on like a really high-end tennis court, like that, like almost like rubbery sandy material. So that's actually curing as we speak, and we're really excited to get some new play structures and some new, beds out there for the dogs. And but one of the main things about an outdoor space, or any space really for the dogs, is that it's sanitizable. People, a lot of the times they do the AstroTurf or they do the rubber. Yeah.
AstroTurf is disgusting. You can't clean it.
No, there's just no way that you're ever going to get into all those little nooks and crannies, the amount of bacteria, and just, I can only imagine the smell of ammonia. I'm on a page on Facebook. It's the dog daycare owners and staff page, and it's international. So there's people from literally Australia commenting about their AstroTurf and, dear God, how do we clean it? What do we do? And there's so many people that post in and they're like, rip it up, forget about it, throw it away, cry in your shower, and be done with it. So yeah, like I said, keeping things clean is super, super important. And I think that, as much as the AstroTurf looks great, our dog owners, they're reasonable, logical people. And they realize that, they don't need their dogs to have fake grass. They want their dogs to not get sick. That's the biggest thing. So
yeah, because I think that that's something that people don't think about sometimes, is like, if it's AstroTurf or even grass. If a dog has giardia and poops on the grass, that goes into the soil, it goes onto the grass. It's really difficult to get up out of your yard. And then if you have a dog that eats dirt, it's like, there's a chain reaction that just kind of can't be stopped.
Oh, yeah.
So.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And the dog doesn't even have to eat the dirt. The dog can just dig in the
Step in
dirt
it,
and then lick their paws later.
Yeah,
no, exactly. And I think that's something that every dog daycare is going to deal with. They're going to deal with giardia. They're going to deal with kennel cough. There's no way around these things. Conjunctivitis. Yeah, exactly. These are all communicable papillomas. These are all communicable diseases that are pretty much impossible to completely eradicate from your daycare. So what I always tell other daycare owners, especially like I said on that forum that I'm on Facebook, don't knock yourself down and flip out because you had a little kennel cough outbreak. Just explain to the owners that it's like your kid getting a cold at school. Like, it's going to happen. Your dog's going to be fine. Their immune system's going to be better for it afterwards. It's not the end of the world.
And that is the truth. Like with dogs that get kennel cough, if they get a really lousy bad case, that's probably the only lousy bad case that they're going to get if all else is cool.
Yeah,
you know, with their system.
It happened with my puppy when I got Olive 9 years ago. Her birthday is going to be on the 30th, a couple weeks from now.
Congrats.
Yeah.
See, man, you got it 1 year after you opened this place?
I did.
You're crazy.
Little me, I'm like, yeah, I definitely want a Cane Corso for sure. The
puppy. Awesome.
Yep. I don't know if I would do a puppy again. But yeah, she got kennel cough super bad. Like right when she was a puppy. I've never seen so much mucus. But she's never gotten it again. She's never, and I mean, I do give her the vaccine now, just more so because I'm concerned about me bringing it home. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I feel like I'm even being a little superfluous by doing that. If anything, I'm definitely not a non-vaxxer. If anything, I'm like, yeah, just vaccinate for anything that she could possibly get, because I don't want to end up with her getting sick and having it be something worse than, maybe a vaccine reaction. So yeah, but she got it really bad and it sucked for a few weeks, but then it was over. And 9 years later, she's never gotten it again. Even though like I said, see upwards of 100 dogs a day, and she comes home and licks my hands and kisses my face and everything else. And, I bring all that home to her. So yeah, just, let your dog's immune systems do their thing.
Yeah. Let it hang. Buddha got kennel cough. We got him at 7 weeks, and he had kennel cough by 9 weeks. And it was the cutest thing though. He's like coughing like a baby, and it's like, this is horrible. I can't even believe that this has happened to him. And it's just because, we're around other dogs, so it happens.
Yeah, and puppies, just like old dogs, have a weakened immune system.
And he's had the freaking mouth warts and everything. It's
yeah, I mean, so long as it's nothing life-threatening, like I said, just dust it off and move on.
Yep, totally. I think the best thing as far as somebody like yourself or like me working with I think it's just communicating to the parents.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like
if your dog's got conjunctivitis and they're going to daycare and they don't say anything to you about it, like, to me, that's a problem.
Oh, absolutely. No, for sure. If that's something that they knew about and they knowingly bring it in there, or if the dog comes in and poops all over the place as like a diarrhea, like, yeah, you're like, dude, come on. Like, just like if your kid is sick, don't bring your kid to school. Yeah, but a lot of people, unfortunately, with their dogs, they're like, well, I don't want him to poop all over my house, all over my rug, so I'm going to bring him to daycare because I have to go to work. And they're selfish in the sense that they're thinking about themselves and their own needs, and they're not thinking about all the other dogs that we're caring for or the staff members that have to clean up the mess. And so no, I mean, we have it in our waiver that you can't bring in sick dogs, but of course people do it anyways. But that's also on our staff to, in the morning, do a head to toe check, make sure the dog's not, make sure as soon as they show up, we sign them into the system, and the system will tell us whether or not they're expired on a vaccine or something. And if they are, obviously they can't come in. And, but yeah, we just, try to mitigate it as soon as it happens. But, a lot of the times when a dog gets sick or something like that, pet care professionals feel afraid to tell the owner because they feel like maybe they're going to get blamed for it. In my experience, the more proactive and the more transparent that you are, the better it is. If you just, as soon as you notice it, just give the owner a call and just say, hey, here's what's going on with your dog. I just wanted to let you know that I noticed it. I'm going to take care of it XYZ way, or I'm not qualified to take care of this. You need to take your dog to the vet. Ultimately, they're going to appreciate the fact that you took the time out to take care of their dog. And, and if anybody does like try to blame you for it, they're just a crazy person. Just chalk it up for that.
Yep. I hear you. It's definitely something that I think some of my clients have like learned from being with me almost is like, I point things out and they're like, holy cow, I never even would know that. And it's like, okay, well, this is what you can or need to do. Or, and I always defer to a vet. Yeah. And I think that that's the best thing for somebody like myself that can just kind of observe something and then turn around and say, okay, I observed this. I'm not really, qualified to tell you what to do in this situation. And then from my experience, I don't know if you can concur, but I'm finding a lot of differences with vets in the way that they diagnose things and the way that they, kind of approach the issue. So I always try to get people to get a second opinion nowadays, and it's something I never thought about until I had my own dogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we have a great vet, so I think that that is key. And I think that finding a great vet that's also a great surgeon, somebody that you can turn around and say, hey, I noticed this was up with your dog. If you want a second opinion, you can kind of go here, has been like a really valuable asset, because then they get that second opinion, problem gets fixed, and they're like, hey, Leah, Robyn was the one that even told me about this situation to begin with, and it just kind of reflects well all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that that's been something I've learned that I didn't even realize would be part of my freaking job. I mean, pretty much everything that I deal with, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize I'd have to be deeling with this.
Oh, the things that get thrown to you in the dog industry. Literally everything that you can think of, it will get thrown at you. No, absolutely. Unfortunately, veterinary offices are businesses. So a lot of them are kind of more about upselling the prescription food or the
freaking tests.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my
Do
God.
all the diagnostics.
One vet, I'm not going to say the name. They test every dog for Addison's disease.
Oh, that's unnecessary.
It's just weird.
It is.
Because I asked my vet, I'm like, hey, how often do you diagnose a dog with Addison's? He's like, very, very rarely. I'm like, really? Because I got a list of about 10 dogs that have been, they tested for Addison's. And it's like, you don't think about, like, if you're a dog parent, you don't think about that going into it.
No,
like,
of course.
You
just
like,
get scared by, a disease that you've never heard of before. And, oh my God, of course, test for it. Oh my God, of course, I want my dog to be healthy. And, so, and that's one of the things is that, you should, just like you should trust your own doctor, you should trust your pet's doctor. And any place that you can't actually form a personal relationship with one doctor, I personally steer clear of.
Hey, that's really good advice. Yeah, because some clinics have like 4 or 5 doctors.
And then, you get like the merry-go-round every time. You don't, and nobody actually knows your dog, That's really important. I mean, I've been to places like that, and I bring the dog in 3 days later for a follow-up, and it's like they have no idea. They didn't even look at the notes, and it leaves you with a bad taste in your mouth and feeling frustrated because you're like, well, this is a follow-up. I should be seeing the same doctor that knows. I don't want to start at square one. So yeah, I mean, I would say, for pet owners, try and find some place that you feel that you can actually form a personal relationship. Someone that knows your dog by name, someone that recognizes you when you walk in. Hopefully you're not at the vet that often, but especially in the event that you're dealing with some sort of medical condition, don't let them just pass you off to whoever's available. Dogs they can't communicate. We are their voices. You have to advocate for them. So be loud, speak up, be obnoxious if you have to be. Don't hold back. Don't try to be polite. This is your dog's health that you're talking about. It's not to be taken lightly. So yeah, that's
good advice. And on a rant that I didn't think we would go on, but I feel like totally warranted. Because it's been we've had a lot. We've had a lot of it. I mean, I've had a lot of it as far as vets go, and I wish that our vet was everywhere because I feel like we're constantly referring people to our vet, and he unfortunately is farther away from where we live than we would like to be. But anyway, all right, I want to switch gears just slightly. Talk about the first time that we really talked, which you probably don't remember, but I do. And then I want to talk about your dogs. That's going to kind of segue into the latter half of, I think, what we're going to be doing here. So, as you know, I used to work at Tommy Doyle's in Newton, Nonantum. And I remember one day you called, and I was new, and I was working the day, and you ordered a California wrap stuffed with rice. So like a burrito. And, I'm day bartending, like doing nothing but cleaning something that was already clean. You
still order the same thing.
Yeah. And, I'm new and you always order the same thing. So you're like, so I get to California, which is delicious. It's like got this like chipotle aioli dressing. It's good. And then you just like rice stuffed in it like a burrito, like normal, like you would be getting at Chipotle. So anyway, I'm like, oh, I don't really know. So like you walk me through the whole thing. I don't know. You come in, sit down, we start chit chatting. And, you tell me about your place and, we're just kind of carrying on and waiting for your food. And I remember you were finishing not this, but I think making the dog area bigger with Joe at that time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So that was probably like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably right about that. Yeah. So because we started off basically only utilizing half of the building. Like I said earlier in the show, we have 5,000 square feet, and more or less we've got it split right down the middle into 2 like main dog runs. But yeah,
you were like renovating the whole thing yourself, and you were like taking a break.
Yeah, covered in paint.
To go get lunch, and you're talking to me. I remember at one point in the conversation, like, we're chit chatting, and I'm like, wow, you must like really love dogs. And but I remember specifically. You said to me, you said, I love my own dogs.
This is true.
And I was like, oh, damn. And then you started to talk to me about your dogs. And like, I think, I don't know which one, but one had maybe an ACL surgery or a hip injury or something. Mm-hmm. And you started talking about, the carrying them up the stairs and all the shit that you were going through with trying to take care of them. And that was something that I had completely never had to deal with because I had always taken care of other people's dogs. And at the time I had nothing to do with dogs. I was working at a bar, taking care of a dog at the time. So I think we probably were talking a little bit about that, but, that really resonated with me. And I didn't think any less of you for saying that, like this girl's supposed to be working with dogs and she said she only likes her own dogs, but it was that like very clear distinction of like, I have my business. I love it. I care about it. Like you said, you're covered in paint. you're working 24/7 to try to make it bigger and better and badder and, hiring people and holding their hand and trying to figure out what the hell, you're going to do next. Cause I think that you would agree with me. The most difficult part of this business is finding, employees.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
No matter how much you pay, it's, I don't know if it's a cultural thing or the area that we live in, but it's really difficult to find people who they don't have to be passionate. It's just just show up to work.
Just be competent and responsible. And
willing to learn, just like basic job requirements.
And reliable.
It's very difficult. I know you've had tons of struggles. We've talked about that a lot over the years. But that just really stuck with me that, and Olive and Bronson don't spend time here.
No, they don't.
Hell
Olive,
no.
Olive is not allowed to.
No, our dogs, we go out of our way to make sure they don't spend time with other dogs, so they're paying attention to us.
Exactly.
And being our dogs, So that was not to say that any pet parent that brings their dog to doggy daycare is bad. That's not what I'm saying. But you have 2 dogs that are a powerful breed.
Yep.
I have dogs that are a powerful breed.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something to be said for owners that, you're able to care for them without having to rely on a walker or any other, person, which is a blessing, like myself. But that really stuck with me over these years because I was it just, there's a distinction between business and your dogs, which I think is important for dog people because even today, I got home from work at 3 and I was like, I got to walk my dog. He didn't need to be walked.
Right.
But he'd been playing with dogs all day in the sun.
No, but you have to have that bonding moment where it's your you time. It's your quality time that you spend with your dog. And don't get me wrong. I absolutely love the dogs that I care for, but I don't think that every kindergarten teacher loves every student the way that they love their own children.
You keep them safe and you care for them.
Of course, absolutely. And trust me, there are a handful that I absolutely adore. And every time I come to work, I'm like, where is she? I need to smush her face. And, but ultimately at the end of the day, my job is not to get attached to other people's dogs. My job is to make sure that they're safe, make sure that they're happy, make sure that they're well cared for. It's my job is not to fall in love with them. My job with my own dogs is to fall in love with them.
Exactly. And that's exactly, man, you took the words out of my mouth. I was trying to explain it and I couldn't, and you did. So anyway.
Yeah, they're my kids. Yeah.
And I want you to talk about Olive and Bronson. I want you to talk about the breed because I think that the breed is, you don't see those dogs every day.
You're seeing more of them. You're definitely seeing more of them. So it started with Olive. I got Olive 9 years ago.
Hang on, can you say the breed first?
So it's a Cane Corso, and it's spelled C-A-N-E. It is pronounced Cane, not Cane. Mm-hmm. It's Italian for dog, Cane Corso. And that is the Roman Mastiff. So there's 2 Italian Mastiffs. There's the Cane Corso, and then there's the Neapolitan. Basically, if you think about what type of dogs fought in the Colosseum, what type of dogs fought alongside Julius Caesar, that's the Corso. So definitely a very powerful, very muscular breed. They're also the only coursing mastiff. So when you think about a coursing dog, you think about a sight catcher. So like a greyhound or a whippet, someone that's fast enough that is going to be able to catch that bunny. And then you think about a mastiff and you think, okay, that's
huge.
Yeah, it's a pet couch. So, okay, combine the 2 together. The Corso is the smallest of the mastiff breeds. The females are usually only about 100 pounds. But they're supposed to be agile. They're athletes. They're not your typical lumbering mastiff. They're quick. They're very alert, very astute. They're pretty wary with new people. They're meant to guard the property, guard the livestock, hunt boar. Again, also, fight alongside gladiators. They're definitely a very powerful, pretty rare breed. So I got Olive 9 years ago as a puppy, and I just fell in love. So at the time, I just knew that I didn't want a lab. Don't get me wrong. I grew up with a lab. I love the breed. They are amazing. They are the perfect first dog for somebody. You don't really have to worry about them not liking kids. You don't have to worry about them not liking other dogs. They're always going to play fetch with a tennis ball. But I didn't want that. I wanted something that was going to up the ante a little bit. So I just started kind of just Google searching different dogs, and I stumbled across, I think it was the Wikipedia image at the time of this beautiful male Corso. And I just remember looking at the picture and that face, and I was just like, you know what? I want to snuggle that face every day when I come home. I want that face looking at me. So I started looking up breeders in the area, and I found one locally, and I put down a deposit, and I think I was 23 at the time. And the guy was like, "Wait a second, you're 23 years old. I'm not gonna sell you a Cane Corso. They're not for young people. They're for experienced dog people." And I was like, "Look, I'm me. I'm like, I know dogs." I'm like, so he actually came out to Tailwaggerz, and he was like, because he lives out a little bit more in the sticks of Massachusetts. He's like, "I want to see what you city folk do with your dogs."
That's freaking cool.
It was really awesome. I was really impressed with the fact that he wasn't just like, "Okay, give me your money and I'll give you a puppy." He required that I had personal and professional references, especially because I'm in, pet care. And actually, one of my customers, who is still a customer, her dog is super old and I love him to pieces. She followed the litter from before the mother was even pregnant. She literally followed everything. And every morning, this was back when we did the shuttle service, I would go and pick up her dog, and she's like, oh my God, did you see the ultrasound?" It was so great to have that. When I got Olive as a puppy, I even brought her to the woman's house for Christmas Eve dinner, and I dressed her up as Santa's little helper, and it was adorable. But yeah, as you mentioned, over the years, something else that I just didn't even know at the time was all of the medical stuff that can come up with such a big, powerful breed.
Yeah, I think that was the first thing that we really talked about with Olive was I met Olive and Bronson, I think once. They were actually in your car, so I had a quick hello. But I think the first thing that we really even talked about was, like I said, something had happened to her knee or hip or something like that. Yeah. And you were taking care of her, and you're like, "Look at this 100-pound dog up the stairs. You should see it. My back's killing me." And I'm like, wow, because you lived on the second floor.
Yeah, it was a lot of work.
Yeah. But I think that, now with both Olive and Bronson, well, Olive, I guess you didn't cut the ears.
No, God, no, no.
So that really affects the way that she looks.
Oh, absolutely.
And her jowls are a lot larger, I feel like, than some Cane Corsos. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, she's got a pretty boxy head, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the ear is that's the best part of the dog. I literally always have a dog's ear in my hand.
So soft.
I don't even realize that I'm doing it. I'm always just playing with a dog's ear. Exactly. It's soft. It's cute. They love it. So, the breeder actually, he really wanted me to crop her ears.
Really? Interesting.
Olive is the only dog that he ever sold that had ears, and he really pushed me. And finally, I was like, "Dude," I'm like, "You're not cutting my dog's ears off."
Wow.
No. Who looks at a cute puppy and is like, "I really just want to cut your ears off"? I don't know. It's a little bizarre. She's really cute the way she is. Her tail is docked. That wasn't really an option. And she has had her dew claws removed, also, which wasn't an option. But yeah, I'm all about keeping the dog natural, except for spaying and neutering. That I think needs to be done at an appropriate age.
Yep. Now, with Bronson, can you tell the story of him? And
Bronson was... So I had this friend who fell in love with Olive, and he really, really, really wanted her, basically. I'm like, "Nope, you can't have my dog." I'm like, "But I'll keep an eye out there." And I follow a bunch of rescue pages. I've worked with the Cane Corso Rescue, and a few other rescue organizations. And
is that a local rescue? Or?
No, it's actually a nationwide rescue. That's it's based out of Texas, but they're nationwide. They rescue Corsos all over the place. Unfortunately, you see a lot of them in the shelters in New York. And that's actually where I found Bronson. So this friend of mine, he moved to Manhattan. He's an attorney, and he went and followed some big job. And I just happened to wake up one day, and on the Urgent Death Row Dogs of New York page on Facebook, it's heart-wrenching to look at, but basically they post dogs that are on the 24-hour euthanasia list. So they've got one day left. Either someone adopts them or that's it. So I opened up my Facebook and there was Meathead's big old floppy face. And I called my friend and I was like, hey, so you're in Manhattan. He's in Manhattan. Why don't you go get this dog? The guy didn't even have a car. He moved heaven and earth. He contacted other rescue organizations and people that he knew. And within 24 hours, he adopted this dog as his own. And then maybe a month later, he contacted me and was like, I really can't take care of him. I'm working this job, blah, blah, blah. Can you take him? And I had actually just had a foster failure, which is when you adopt a dog that you're supposed to just be fostering. So I was like, nope, can't take him. And then unfortunately, Hammy passed away pretty quickly from a bad reaction to a sedative. Anyway, long story short, so this friend of mine, one of those big muscle guys, weightlifters, he snapped his hamstring. And so he called me again and he was like, can you please take this dog? You're the only person that I trust taking him. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. I'm like, I have a spot open in my home. Bring him on down. So Bronson showed up literally in the space that we're sitting in right now. Almost exactly 5 years ago, he came in and the second that I laid eyes on him in person, I mean, when I saw his picture, I had already fallen in love, but the second I laid eyes on him in person, we just connected. And I feel like everyone has that one dog throughout their lives, and don't let Olive hear me say this. But everyone has that one dog throughout their lives that you just have this unbelievable bond with and this connection with. And so far, that's been my Bronson. He is just a goon. He is just, I think the best way to describe him is derp. But yeah, he's been amazing. He's, I think somewhere between 7 and 9 years old at this point. As I said, I've had him for 5 years. But yeah, from wandering the streets of the Bronx, eating out of dumpsters, well underweight and with horrible skin, to now stealing my spot in my bed when I get up in the morning.
Now, as far as any issues that you had with Olive and Bronson meeting and getting along with one another, how did that, because I know Olive was the one dog in the house, top dog, and then Bronson probably came along and she was like, hey, who the heck is this? How was that transition, and did you have to manage any behaviors? So what was it like?
I actually got extraordinarily lucky when it comes to that, because Olive is really not a dog-friendly dog, which is mainly why she doesn't come to daycare at all, ever. She, for whatever reason, took to Bronson really quickly. I think because he's a lot bigger than her, but he's also super submissive. So she basically was just like, oh, yeah, I got this big, giant goon, and he's going to be my bitch. And he just walked in and was like, hey, yeah, okay, I'll be your bitch. And it's worked very symbiotically. He respects her when she communicates with him. I mean, still to this day, she'll growl at him if she's laying in her bed and he tries to come near. But he'll just look at me and be like, Mom, can you and basically I have to stand in front of her so that he can walk by. And, but I mean, at the end of the day, I can leave my house and I can leave them together. They don't have to be crated. They're free run in the house. I think the fact that Olive, my ex, he had a Rottweiler. So she was used to having kind of a big dopey boy to push around a little bit. Yeah. So I think the fact that she was used to having Dino to kind of push around, I think that she just took Wally Bronson, where she was like, okay, I just got a new giant goofball to be my brother, be my punching bag, for lack of a better term. And yeah, they absolutely adore each other. I had to take Bronson to the vet today, and I have to distract Olive. I had to have Billy take her for a walk, and otherwise she'll sing the song of her people if I take Bronson away from her now.
Oh,
yeah, it's pretty cute, pretty sad at the same time.
And both of those dogs are, they have floppy ears.
Yep. Bronson has natural ears. So Bronson is a lot bigger than Olive. Bronson's about 140 pounds. I actually did the DNA test on him. He is half Neapolitan Mastiff.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you about that, because I thought both of those dogs are Neapolitan Mastiffs.
No, yep. So Olive is a purebred Corso, but Bronson is he is half Neo. So I could have sworn that he was Great Dane or part Great Dane because he's tall and he's lanky. Yeah, he's kind of got a Great Dane body, but then he's got that big old Mastiff head. But the DNA test said that he's half Neapolitan, 3/8 Cane Corso, and you're gonna love this one. He is 1/8 Rottweiler.
No way. Yeah,
I know Leah's a Rottie girl. But yeah, so I think so. If you actually look at the breed, though, there's the show Neo and then there's the working Neo. So the show Neo is what most people think of with all those folds and like all that extra skin. The working Neo is not like that at all. It's, I mean, they've got a little bit of extra skin, but they're not wearing like their grandpa's coat. You know, it's like a coat that's like maybe a size too big. All that skin would get in the way of actually like a real working dog. So I think Bronson's just more of like the actual working Neo.
Now you've had them as pets primarily. Have you competed with them at all? Or
no, haven't competed with them. No, they're definitely just pets.
Yeah, they're couch potatoes.
Yeah, they're couch potatoes. They look imposing. I don't think anyone's going to try and break into my house. But at the end of the day, if you walked up my stairs and came in and were just like, "Hey guys," they would just show you where the treats are and ask you to scratch their butt. Like, yeah, they're definitely. I mean, yeah, they're bred to be guard dogs and they bark at everything that walks by. But yeah, they're pets. They're my babies. They're snuggle monsters.
So, just kind of lastly, any advice? I know you talked a little bit about not anticipating the cost of some of the things that come up with the breed. But, if you were to speak to somebody that was interested in the breed, would you have any, go-to advice?
Health insurance. Just get the health insurance. They're known for snapping their ACLs. Like I said, large breed, very athletic. But not only that, they're also known for just like swallowing sucks. And they're prone to what most people call bloat, which is when the stomach extends and fills with gas. It's gastric dilation, and I can't remember the
Did you
the
get
actual
their
term.
stomach stapled for that or no?
No, so I was going to have it done with Olive when she got spayed. I was going to have the gastroplexy done. But the vet said that he didn't think that she was going to get that big and that she wasn't going to be that barrel chested and didn't see the reason to. So I followed the vet's advice. With Bronson, I've never opened him up. So
what's the need?
Exactly. Yeah, I don't see a reason to do a somewhat major surgery on him. I will say though that I'm very cautious about him gulping down too much water or air. Like he loves to play with the garden hose. I consider that to be a very dangerous activity because not only can they gulp down a lot of air and water and extend their stomach too much and cause that bloat, but they can also just get it right into their lungs and get pneumonia. A lot of people don't even think about that. But I mean, make sure that they burp after a meal. Don't let them run around too much after a meal. Like I said, they're very, very prone to those digestive issues. And bloat is something that is...
Oh, a dog dies.
Yeah, like within hours. Yeah. There are products that you can get to mitigate the severity of it, but it's something that you really need to be trained on. There are some things like Gas X and stuff that can help, but at the same time, that's definitely, as you said, that's something that I would always, check with the vet before you administer any medications or anything. Don't just go giving your dog simethicone just because you think that they might get bloat. Like, make sure that it's something that's not going to interact with any other medications or, is going to cause any other, gastric issues. But yeah, I mean, with any large breed, really, I'm a firm believer of unless you just have thousands of dollars to throw around, just get the insurance because, at the end of the day, when Olive snapped her ACLs, that was $8,000 that,
oh my God.
Yeah, that I didn't have when I was 26 years old or however old I was when that happened. But the insurance covered most of it and I was able to come up with the rest and I didn't have to worry about my dog suffering because I couldn't come up with the funds, which unfortunately is a major reason why a lot of dogs end up in the shelters.
Right. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah,
I know.
It's sad.
I mean, even like for my guy, while we're kind of on the topic, but I rescued a dog, and I think a lot of people have this mentality like, oh, I rescued the dog. Their genetics are going to be superior because they're, more diverse, which actually might not be true because you don't know if you have an inbred dog. You don't know where the dog came from. It could have been a brother-sister breeding. You have no idea.
Right.
But anyway, so I rescued Ruben as a puppy and got the insurance, obviously. But then he has an issue with his eyes where his tear ducts don't produce enough tears. So every month we spend $30 a month for, homeopathic drops to put in his eyes in order for him not to go blind. And that's not covered by insurance because it's a pre-existing thing or it's a continuous thing. And, do we have the means? Absolutely. I will spend it, Laurie takes care of that piece because she does all the ordering. I'm going to give her props for that. But, of course we're going to do it. But, you rescue a dog and then 2 weeks into it, you're like, oh my God, this dog has to be on eye drops for the rest of his life. Like,
so that's
it's totally unforeseen.
No,
and
absolutely.
I think that has been the biggest, not that situation. There's been, I mean, he eats poop covered rocks. So we had to go get his stomach, x-rayed and everything. It's stuff happens.
He's a handful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you're just like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And thank God we have the means to take care of it.
Exactly. But I mean, same thing. So exactly. People think that if they rescue a dog that they're going to be more genetically diverse, but at the same time, people think that they go to a reputable breeder and everything's going to be, a cakewalk. That doesn't mean that it's going to be a cakewalk. That doesn't mean that your dog is not going to fall off the dock when they're trying to board your boat or run through a glass door or whatever. I mean, they're dogs. They're going to hurt themselves. I actually read an article once, and I think it's the average is that every dog in their lifespan has 2 major medical events that you're talking thousands of dollars. I mean, but at the same time, for me, having the health insurance also just gives me the peace of mind of I don't have to say, you know what, this isn't something that I'm going to go to the doctor about because I don't think it's something important. Like Bronson started having terror attacks out of nowhere. We've lived in the same home for the past 4 years, and every year the snow slides off the roof. We have a slate roof every year, same thing. For whatever reason, this November, the snow sliding off the roof, he's decided he's terrified and he wants to get into my nightstand. As I mentioned, Bronson is 140 pounds. So you can imagine my poor neighbors listening to Bronson try to get into my nightstand. But I was concerned that maybe he took a stroke or was having some sort of or he had a tumor, some sort of neurological disorder because it was just so sudden and so acute. And having that health insurance, I was able to bring him to one of the top veterinary medical places in Massachusetts. I had an MRI done. I had a spinal tap done. I checked for all these things. Turned out it was nothing. He's just having panic attacks. But now I don't have to guess.
Yeah, you're still able to exhaust what you needed to in order to feel like, okay, I did everything that I needed to do in this situation. Yeah,
and God forbid it was something serious. Then the health insurance would have kicked in too, and it would have covered the treatment and the medications and everything else. I mean, Billy's Rottweiler, she was diabetic, and he was spending, I want to say like $200 a month on insulin. Had he had the health insurance, it would have covered a lot of that, So it's just that safety net,
Yeah. Now, as far as I feel like you might be the wrong person to ask this question, but you might be the right person in a lot of other ways because you're not technically a dog trainer, but you are because you're a person that takes care of dogs all the time. And you wouldn't be able to do that successfully if you didn't know how to train dogs. I believe that. And I think people need to be empowered to know that if this is what they do, they're dog trainers. Just because they don't have a certificate or some other sort of BS thing that says that they're a dog trainer. So I feel like for you, it might be a little bit different because you're like, well, I'm not a trainer, but this is a powerful breed. And I feel like you might have been able to manage some of the behavioral stuff better than an average everyday person getting a Cane Corso. But can you just kind of give some advice as far as, I mean, I know people that own Cane Corsos that have not had the experience you have had. because it can be a very aggressive breed.
Absolutely.
It has high drive. It might have, an intelligent breed.
Very intelligent.
Could be mixed with bad genetics. So if you take bad genetics into a high drive breed, you can have a really difficult dog. So can you kind of speak to that just a little bit? I know it's not your area of expertise.
No, for sure. So that's actually something that a lot of people don't take into account. There's the whole nature versus nurture thing. Genetics do take a lot of. They need to be taken into account. They play a large role. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not one of those people that thinks that all pit bulls are aggressive, but just like a Labrador is going to want to retrieve and swim in the water, a bully breed, they're going to want to do their job. They're going to want to protect, and they can be very prone to resource guarding, where this is theirs, this is their bed, this is their bone, and you can't take it away from them. Or they'll guard a person in particular, or just if they're not socialized well enough. I think it's really, really important that, especially with a powerful breed like that you expose them to as many different scenarios as possible. They need to see all walks of life. They need to see somebody in a wheelchair, somebody on rollerblades. They need to see a tall person, a short person, you name it. They need to see everything, in a non-threatening way, obviously, in order to kind of desensitize them to being like, this is new, this is different, I need to protect because I'm not sure what this is. So I think that's really important. Yeah, I would say my experience definitely gave me a leg up because I can see things a little bit before they happen. Dogs, just like people, before somebody gets into a fight, you better believe that they were mean mugging. People don't just spontaneously start punching somebody in the face. They probably got into an argument a couple of times. They were probably giving dirty looks. They were probably posturing themselves, puffing their chest up. Dogs pretty much do the same thing. They'll get stiff. They'll straighten their tail. They'll do something called whale eye, where they kind of just side eye another dog or another person or their own foot or, but knowing these types of behaviors and being able to, correct it before it happens is definitely something that's very important.
Now, sorry to interrupt you, but did you feel, so with all of you had the chance to socialize before because you got her as a puppy.
Yep.
Do you feel like you just got lucky with Bronson? Like maybe he had been hanging out in such a stimulating environment that by the time you got to him, it was just kind of like, oh, this is easy. Because I feel like he is a pretty well-rounded guy.
Yeah, Bronson's kind of been a cakewalk. I'm not going to lie. Yeah, he definitely. And like I said, I have fostered, I want to say 37 dogs so far.
Holy cow.
Most of them Cane Corso. Or I've had a couple Rottweilers, a couple Pit Bulls, but almost all bully breeds of some sort. Powerful dogs. And yeah, Bronson's been probably the easiest. I've seen dogs that were very reactive, that were very jumpy, that were just not trusting of people. I don't know what Bronson's story was. My guess, knowing dogs, is that he was someone's pet. And he probably had kids in the house or something because he's very, very tolerant of people pulling on his ears and playing with his feet. And just at the same time, though, like I said, genetics plays a role, but also each dog is an individual. Some people are more laid back and go with the flow. Some people are a little bit more high strung. Same thing goes with dogs. Olive is from a breeder. I socialized her very, very well. If anything, she's a little bit more difficult of a dog than Bronson is. Right. She's not dog friendly. She's very wary of new people. She's just kind of, she's set in her ways, and she's like I said, high strung. But that's just who she is. That's just her personality. That I don't think that has anything to do with how I raised her. I think that's just Olive. Right. Which again, just like people with their kids, you can raise them perfectly. You can help them do their homework. You can do everything. Set them up to be a ballerina, and they decide I want to be a mechanic. It's just. They're all their own individuals. So you
have to know how to manage it too. I think that's a big piece that's missing with people that are in really populated areas and they have a reactive dog. You know, it's like, can you manage those behaviors with like tons of tools and management and like restrictive, but you know, techniques? Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, like you have to be realistic about what your dog is.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think a lot of the time too, though, when, and like you said, in a highly populated area, when people's dogs are reactive, they inherently become embarrassed and nervous, and they don't want their dog to injure somebody. So if you do have a reactive dog, you know, I highly suggest muzzle training for one, because it's just going to benefit them.
Well, it keeps everybody away.
Yeah,
'cause they
it
see
keeps
a dog and a muzzle and they're like, oh my God.
Yeah, and it keeps everybody safe, you know.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's for your own dog's benefit. You don't want your dog to bite somebody. That's going to end up being bad for your dog. Yeah, it's going to be bad for your wallet and for the person that they bite. But it's just, you know, so keep your dog safe. Like I said earlier, you have to advocate for them. You know, but a lot of the times too, people they'll retreat, and instead of immersing their dogs in a situation that they may be reactive to and desensitizing them to it, they will not put them in that situation ever again, which is never going to help the situation, you know? Like, so if, for example, Olive is afraid of bicycles, you better believe that I'm going to ask everybody that I have with a bicycle to ride around her in circles for 3 hours until she doesn't care anymore. And then there you go. And then it's over, you know? And it just, I mean, or, well, it's not necessarily that easy, but you know, I think.
Yeah, but I get the idea, you know, not being afraid to, you know, and desensitization is such a good, it's a very interesting technique, because it's not like socialization, because it takes more time. But at the same time, you have to figure out how to do that, whether it's the technique that you just said, or if it's a different technique. Like you said, not retreating when you have a situation that the dog's uncomfortable with, but learning how to deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and being realistic about it. And like you said, part of being realistic about it is muzzle training your dog.
Yep.
Because is that dog ever going to be 100% comfortable around bicycles?
Yeah, right. No, right, exactly. And are you going to be paying 100% attention every single time that a bicycle happens to go by? Probably not.
Yeah, Laurie has a phrase that is management fails. You know, and so many, oh my God, I follow so many trainers online. Very prophetic people. It's a very interesting world on the internet these days. They actually look like prophets, and it's like, man, you got the long hair and you're talking like Jesus, and it's like they're setting people up for a situation where if they do anything besides exactly what they say, you know, they can turn around and say, well, you didn't do exactly what I said. You know, everything's, you know, that's your fault. And it's like, you're right. Management is going to fail. So you need to figure out
what's going to work for you.
And what's your backup plan?
Yeah, exactly.
Your backup plan might be a muzzle. Your backup plan might be, I need to walk my dog at 5:30 in the morning because that's when there are less bicycles.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think part of that is, you know, part of kind of changing your thinking and working with it if you have a reactive dog is really important. And I think that there are ways around it. And I'm sure, just like you said, being around dogs, being able to read their behavior has just helped you kind of innately. You might not have even been able to like identify it. Yeah, because
when it was happening, I had no idea.
But you're savvy, you know, like you know dogs and you know how to interrupt that chain of thought of thinking with dogs. That's something I had to learn. Yeah, you know, I had to learn how to use my voice and use my body and use my senses to be able to, you know, and that's another thing. I mean, we could probably spend an hour, but we won't. But like, you know, working with dogs, I've found has been like, it's a tactile activity. You have to use your body. And that's
absolutely.
Something that like culturally these days we're not comfortable with.
Interesting that you say that.
Like, we're not comfortable. Like, if you start talking too loud to the point where I think you're going to like turn around and put your head through that glass, I need to actually stop you.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and as a society and as a culture, we're not used to like putting our hands on something or putting our body in the way and not having like a shitstorm of some sort of bad thing happen to us. And with dogs, it's constant.
Yeah, absolutely. It absolutely is. I mean, I draw so many parallels between dogs and toddlers. I mean, like, you know, if your toddler is about to put their hand on the stove, you're going to physically stop them, right? So exactly, if your dog is going to put themselves in a situation that's going to put either them or somebody else in danger, or is just going to end up in a situation that you don't want that end result, like they're going to eat all the brownies off the table. Yeah, grab them. Absolutely. Yes. Grab your dog. Yes, absolutely. Make eye contact with your dog. Communicate with your dog. I think that's one of the other things too, is some people, they want to just shout commands and not actually just like really just communicate, you know? Dogs are very communicative creatures. They evolved from wolves because they watched our body language and they want us to lead them. But at the same time, we have to listen to what they're saying too, and, you know, and understand how they communicate with us. And, you know, it's got to be a two-way street. So yeah, I mean, I think that's super important, is that you understand when your dog is in a stressful situation. You know what your dog's in particular signs of stress are. Not every dog is going to pant and drool. Not every dog is going to tuck their tail. Not every dog is going to quiver. You know, dogs show different signs of stress in different scenarios. And whatever way that they let it out, you need to be able to pick up on that and, you know your dog and know yourself and know what your limitations are. So yeah, don't put yourself in a situation that you know is going to end up, you know, in failure. You know, but also again, don't be afraid to kind of put yourself out there and, you know, and
make a mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's exactly like I said in the beginning. Yeah. Don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Man,
you know?
if I could tell you all the times I did stupid things with Ruben. I used to take Ruben with me to work. I still try to. I try to once a week. I don't get to it, but it's like I'm so busy now with walking everybody else's dog that it's hard for me to take him with me in the heat and everything like that. And I have totally like I can leave him in the car. The AC is on. I can crack the windows. I got a fan. I got all that. Park in the shade. Whatever.
Totally,
but in 100 degrees, like no.
Nope. Cars die and not going to take the risk. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I'm like whatever. But I mean, the amount of times that dog has been in a situation that I would be embarrassed to talk about because I, you know, walked up to a door, then I, you know, not knowing the owner was home, the dog that's normally friendly, I open the door, attacks Ruben. I mean, he's been attacked 1,000,000 times because of me.
Well,
because I put him in that stupid situation, you know, and it's
again, like I said, none of us live or learn rather from our successes. We learn from our mistakes. So yeah, you're going to mess up. You know, sure, of course, we're all human. Yeah, you're going to put your dog accidentally in a situation where you're just like, oh, Jesus, what was I thinking?
They're so forgiving, you know? Like,
right.
He doesn't even know. It's like, I'm so lucky, you know? And I'm so lucky because I'm like, wow, this dog, like, has no reason to like any dogs ever. He really doesn't. I mean, but he's a friendly dog. I mean, does he have his own little quirks and isms and everything?
Sure, they all do.
Yeah. Like you said about body language. He's so weird. He's like, you know, he's leash reactive, but normally a dog that's leash reactive will, you know, fixate, lunge, bark, bite. You know, he whines and turns his whole body away from what's stimulating him, but his hackles are up.
Oh.
Because he knows, like, it's like he knows, like, I shouldn't be feeling this way right now.
Yeah. You know, so that's like when Olive will want to growl at Bronson, but she knows she's not supposed to. So she'll do, I call it her Elvis lip, where she'll literally like bare her teeth on one side, the side that's not facing me. She's like, well, I'm growling at him, but to Mom, I've got this like really cute little face.
They don't put that in books.
No, of course they don't.
And that's why when you're looking, and that's a big part of the reason why I'm even doing this whole podcast series, is because I want people to know that dog people didn't get to where they are because, you know, they had money or because they had a dream. It's because they have laid hands on dogs.
Yeah.
A lot of dogs and seen things that you're like, wow, I've never seen that before. You know what I mean?
My God,
and then,
so many.
And then can learn from it. And then, like we said, kind of avoid a problem from happening in the future. But, you know, I still consider myself a junior trainer because I've been doing it for far less time than, you know, you, my wife, everybody, you know, else. But, you know, it's something that, you know, I'm constantly learning, and every dog is different. Like, you can read a book and say, okay, these are the meta signals. It's, you know, let people know when your dog is about to fire. But then, you know, you hear stories about the Elvis lip, or like my dog, the way that he is leash reactive, but kind of not leash reactive. And then I'm like, okay, well, do I correct that? Or do I just kind of like accept, you know, and things like this, like you can't watch a 5-minute YouTube video and figure out how to fix it. You know, it's just learning, being available, letting time go by, being open,
trying new things.
Yeah. And like, the older we get, the more difficult it is to do that. But this job is keeping my brain young.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because it's constant. It's like I have to constantly be figuring it out.
Just when you thought that you've seen it all, a dog is just like, wait, watch.
I am physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah, no, exactly. Seriously. No, they keep you on your toes. Seriously. You think that you've seen it all, and then a dog's like, hold my drink. Hold on.
Yeah. Speaking of drinks, we have been enjoying some delicious Dewar's in the process of making this podcast, and our cups are empty, and I do believe that that's it.
All right.
And I am so happy that you sat for me today,
my
Robyn.
God, me too.
Thank you so much.
Honored to be here.
Thank you, and peace out, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Peace.
You can follow Tailwaggerz by searching the handle on Instagram, TAILWAGGERZ. Check out Robyn's website at tailwaggerzpetcare.com. This is a production of yours truly, Leah Lodato and Fit Pet Boston. Special thanks to Alexis Gunaratne for coaching me through the audio engineering process, which has allowed me to post this material. If you own a Boston area business...